Hello everybody and welcome to a new video. Today, as you can tell by the title, we are going to be reacting to the League One predictions that I made at the start of this season, and we will also be going through my mid-season predictions. Without any further hesitation, people, let's dive straight into the video. So as ever with these videos, we will kick things off with the relegation zone. Bottom of League One this year, I predicted newly promoted Cambridge United. Now, I think everybody will agree with me when I say the reason that Cambridge were put in this position by myself, and not just myself, a lot of people had Cambridge to come bottom, was of course the loss of Paul Mullin. To be fair to them, they really have stepped up this season with in the absence of Paul Mullin. Joe Ironside especially has stepped up. Sam Smith, a player that I didn't really have a lot of hope for coming into this year, has also impressed. They have done so much better than what I've predicted them. They currently sit in 12th place. I am already getting off to an absolute shocker. Half the table off with this prediction. But I wasn't alone with this one as well, though. A lot of people had Cambridge to come bottom of the league this year, but they have proven doubters completely wrong. And like I said, they were definitely one of the more impressive teams that I've seen come to the Valley this year. I think they're going to be comfortable. I think they're going to be comfortably mid-table in their first season in League One. And to be honest with you, they deserve it because, like I said, they've been absolutely brilliant this season. I've gone with Cambridge to finish one better than where they are right now in 11th. In 23rd, I had another newly promoted side, and of course, it was Morecambe. Probably another obvious choice going into this season. Morecambe, obviously, being one of the smaller clubs in the league this season with one of the smallest budget. Of course, Derek Adams, their manager, left at the start of the season, was replaced by Stephen Robinson, signed a lot of players in the summer as well. Carlos Mendes de Gomez left the club as well. He went to Luton. Cole Stockton, their leading scorer, of course, stayed at the club, and he has been absolutely fantastic. I think Stockton is going to be the difference between them staying up this season and them not. They are currently sat in the bottom four at the moment in 21st, so they are in the thick of the relegation battle at the moment, as most people probably expected them to. But like I said, I think Stockton has been the main difference. He's got 20 goals in all competitions so far this season. Absolutely fantastic player for them this year. And like I said, if he is to leave in the final days of the window, it's going to be very difficult for them to replace him and for them to, get out of the position that they are currently in. But I knew they was going to struggle this season. They are 1 point away from safety, so they can definitely stay up. In my opinion, in terms of who's going to go down, I honestly think 21st is between one or two clubs, Morecambe being one of them. It's really going to be tough. It's going to be very, very tough going into the final day, but unfortunately, I'm going to stand with my prediction, and I do think Morecambe are going to go down. I've got them in 21st. In 22nd, I went with a fairly obvious pick, it's safe to say, when it comes to League One predictions, and that is AFC Wimbledon. Every single season, they are predicted to finish inside the bottom four, and as we all know, every single season, they somehow find a way to stay up. And this season, currently anyway, they look set to do that, although only just. They are in 20th. They are the team that are 1 point ahead of Morecambe, mired in another relegation battle, and there just seems to be no progression with them at the moment. But one thing that is progressing with them at the moment, though, is their youngsters. They've had a lot of players step up for them this season, in particular Jack Rudoni and Ayob Assal. Both of them have been absolutely superb for them. The big news coming out today, though, their top scorer, Ollie Palmer, has joined Wrexham in the National League, which just shows you that money does talk in football, doesn't it? Personally, though, I think Wimbledon are going to be all right. I think they are just about going to be safe in 19th place. I've got them to stay up come the end of the season, so I am revising my prediction. And then in 21st place, I went with then Simon Grayson's Fleetwood Town. Now, I did make the correct prediction in that Simon Grayson would be sacked before the new year. I did end up getting that correct. I just had zero confidence, not just in Grayson, but also in the team that they had. They lost a lot of their key personnel, and they have put a lot of faith in young players. But to be fair to those young players, they have seriously impressed. A lot of them have really stepped up this year. Paddy Lane, Callum Morton, who did before he went out to Peterborough. Shaden Morris, James Hill until he moved on to Bournemouth recently, Gerard Gardner. Although, as expected, it is safe to say Fleetwood are in the thick of this relegation battle, but they're not in the bottom four. They're currently sat in 19th place. 2 points, in fact, separate them and Morecambe, and it is going to be very tight. Stephen Kearney, I think, has got a little bit of fight and spirit out of that team, something that Simon Grayson failed to do, and they have slowly started to pick up results, which obviously is very good. Now, for me, it's between Morecambe or Fleetwood in terms of them going down, and as you would have seen, I have predicted Morecambe to go down, so that does give away where I have put the Cods. I think they're just about going to scrape it in 20th. I think they're just about going to do it. Moving on to the rest of the bottom half of the table. Coming in 20th, I predicted another newly promoted side, and that, of course, was the League Two champions, Cheltenham Town. Now, the last three that I predicted, Morecambe, Wimbledon and Fleetwood, I did come quite close in terms of predictions. The theme is repeating with Cheltenham. They are currently sat in 18th at the time of recording this video, so they are staying up. And again, like Cambridge, I felt they have, for the most part this season anyway, looked fairly impressive. They've died off a little bit, and Alfie May being their top scorer at the moment. There's been a lot of interest supposedly in him in this transfer window, and like I mentioned in the latest video, the League One Transfer Rumour Roundup, I did say that with the amount of attacking options that Cheltenham have brought in, it sort of looks like that they are preparing for May to leave. I think Cheltenham deserve to stay up, and to be honest with you, again, I think they're going to do it. I have got them to finish in the position that they are currently in 18th. They should be fine. From 4 close ones on the bounce to an absolute howler once again, we come to 19th place, where I predicted Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank's Burton Albion. There was one of 2 ways I could see Burton going. They were either going to do what they did last season, you know, carrying on the momentum of that brilliant upturn of form when Hasselbank first came in last year, or they're going to struggle. And I looked at that team going into the season. I didn't really see a recognised goal scorer besides Kane Hemmings, and to be honest with you, I just looked at that squad and just felt meh. Have definitely gone one better and have progressed since Hasselbank has come into that job, as they currently find themselves in 11th. So I am absolutely way off with this one. Burton nowhere near the relegation zone, and fair play to Hasselbank because he has done a very good job with the Brewers side. Daniel Jebison has had a very good season for them on loan from Sheffield United. Of course, I did mention Kane Hemmings. He has recently left the club and signed for Tranmere Rovers. I am predicting Burton to have a little bit of a dip though towards the end of the season. I've got them to finish 13th, mid-table come the end of the season, which I think would be a fair finish. In 18th place, I predicted Steve Evans' Gillingham, or used to be Steve Evans' Gillingham. It's been an absolute car crash of a campaign for Gillingham. You know, transfer embargo, ownership woe, and to be honest with you, one of the worst teams in this league by a country mile this season, and they find themselves in a pretty hopeless position, to be honest with you. They are currently sat in 23rd, so they are lower. They lost a lot of their key players, Jordan Graham, Jack Bonham. They do look in a pretty dire situation. Their form is horrendous. Like I said, they are one of the worst teams in this league by a country mile, and to be honest with you, I do not see any chance in Gillingham whatsoever staying up, and I've got them to finish bottom of the league. I think they're going to come rock bottom, because that the club is only going in one direction, and that is down. You know, I just don't have any confidence whatsoever. Another howler of many in this video coming up. In 17th, I predicted Plymouth Argyle, which funnily enough was where I predicted them to finish last season, and they did end up in that sort of range. I think they were 18th last season with a pretty shambolic defensive record. If they find themselves nowhere near where I predicted them, they currently sit just outside the playoffs in 7th. If we go back to Plymouth's start of the season, you know, they went on an unbelievable streak throughout the entire season. You know, I don't think they'd lost a game since the opening day of the season until Charlton beat them at the Valley. And then, of course, they've since gone on a pretty downward spiral since then. They find themselves outside the top 6 now, under new management as well, Stephen Schumacher. They've had some really impressive players this year. Ryan Hardy been excellent. Jeff Cott has done well, despite not that many goals or appearances, to be fair, compared to last season in terms of starting games anyway. Jordan Garrick has done well as well, being on loan from Swansea. But yes, Plymouth for me, they should definitely be up there come the end of the season. And the team they have, you know, they're showing a bit of spirit, unlike they were showing last year. However, I don't think they're going to get top 6. I think they're going to finish 8th come the end of the season. They are going to miss out on the top 6, in my opinion. In 16th, we have Crewe Alexandra. I've predicted them to have a little bit of a downfall compared to last year. Obviously, they've done very well since coming up from League 2 last year, finishing 12th, which was a fantastic finish for David Artell's men. I did make the call at the start of the season that if they lost key personnel, you know, your Mandrons, your Kirks, your Dales, your Ainleys, your Lowrys. Since then, Dale has left, Kirk has left. Lowry wasn't involved in the squad until he's now recently come back in. Mandron looks set to go. based off reports I've seen recently. He has been attracting a hell of a lot of interest, had quite the knock-on effect with Crewe, and it seems to be a bit of second season syndrome for them. They currently sit 22nd. I just don't think they've got enough. I just don't think they have enough this time round, and it is going to be a case of second season syndrome, and I think that they are going to go down in the position that they are currently in 22nd place. I've not got much hope for Crewe. Like I said, they have dragged themselves out of it a little bit. And then in 15th, we have Accrington Stanley. I refused to fall in the trap of putting them to go down, because we know every single season they are just going to defy the odds, and they're just going to prove so many people wrong, like they have always done since they've been in this league. And they're doing it again. Currently sat in 13th in mid-table, which is probably the standard finish for Accrington, really. Their form recently, though, hasn't been great, with 3 draws on the bounce and a defeat. Plus, their goal difference isn't too sound either. They've scored 33 but conceded 43, so they're not scoring that many, but they're letting in too many. I mean, let's face it, we know they're going to be fine. You know, we know they're going to be absolutely fine. John Coleman is going to do enough to keep them up. I've got them in 14th. In 14th, we have the 4th and final newly promoted side. That, of course, was Ian Eviott's Bolton Wanderers. And this one, I can't help but laugh when it comes to this one, because obviously when they did beat my club Charlton at the Valley 4-1, Ian Eviott obviously made the claim that his side was the best team in the league. It's fair to say after that game, they went on a bit of a decline, didn't they? And, well, I say a bit. They find themselves one worse than where I predicted them, which is in 15th, which I perfectly well expected. You know, a lot of people expected Bolton to do a bit better. I'm guessing that's purely because of the size of the club. I had a look at their squad, still felt there was a lot of players that they brought up from League Two, so they obviously had a lot of confidence in that team, and I felt that the players that they had brought in, you know, the likes of Amadou Bakayoko, Elias Kachunga, you know, not massively brilliant names, but could do a job at League One level. That is my closest prediction in this entire video so far. I haven't got a single one right so far. That's spoiling one for you. Bolton is the closest prediction. And yeah, I think Bolton are going to finish in a similar position, to be honest with you. I've got them in the position that they are currently in 15th. And then closing off the bottom half of the table in 13th, I predicted a team that I felt were going to be massively underestimated coming into the start of the season based off the transfer activity that they did do. And that, of course, was Shrewsbury Town, Steve Cottrell's men. Although it is safe to say that they haven't really lived up to the expectation that I felt that they would do. Although they do find themselves in a pretty okay position in 17th, which I guess you could say is a standard Shrewsbury season based off the start of the season anyway. You know, the start of the season was absolutely horrendous. They looked pretty poor in the relegation zone, which was certainly not where I expected them to finish. The side that they have got, they should be absolutely fine come the end of the season, and they should do enough to survive. I have got them to finish in 16th come the end of the season, which is one better than where they currently are. And now we move on to the top half of the table, and we come to quite a fair few stinkers. Starting off in 12th place, I went with Doncaster. I went with Donny Rovers. And to be honest with you, I should have seen this coming, you know, this season, because they had a absolutely horrific end to the season. That 2021 was just a disastrous season for a Doncaster fans. You know, Darren Moore leaving, bringing in Andy Butler, who in my opinion was just completely out of his depth, and they just had a absolutely catastrophic fall down the league table. I had a little bit of hope with them going into this season with the players that they did bring in the summer, because I felt that, you know, they had signed fairly well. There's not a single player that I could pinpoint from being decent for Doncaster this season. And yeah, I've got Cambridge and Doncaster the wrong way round. Cambridge are currently 12th when I predicted them to come bottom, and as you can obviously guess, I predicted Doncaster to finish 12th, and they are currently smack bottom of the table. They are absolutely doomed at the moment. Again, another situation to Gillingham, you know, a club that is seemingly being poorly run. You know, they've got a team that just don't care. They just don't look like they care. And it's just been a shambles of a season. It's just been an absolute circus of a season for Doncaster. And yeah, like Gillingham, I don't have any hope in them staying up, to be honest with you. I think the damage has been already done. There is no way that they're going to recover this with the squad that they've got. I think they're going to come 23rd. I even said in the video, I'm expecting to get this one wrong. So why I didn't bother changing it, it's just absolutely ludicrous to me. But yeah, 11th, I went with Wycombe Wanderers. Newly relegated side from the Championship. Wycombe fans did get on my case in that video. I genuinely think the only reason I put them in that position just sort of agreed with the bookies' odds, because the bookies did actually have Wycombe to finish 11th at the start of the season. I predicted them to finish in that position, agreeing with the bookies when I knew full well that the squad that they had, there was no way that they were going to finish in that position. And I should have agreed with my self-conscience, because they currently sit in 4th. They are absolutely flying at the moment. Definitely one of the better teams I've seen us play this season. Gareth McCleary, despite his age, has been absolutely fantastic for them this season. Sam Vokes has been banging in the goals. Mehmeti's been impressive. Going to be, in my opinion anyway, comfortably within the top 6. And I've got them in the position that they are currently in 4th place. And another team that I massively underestimated at the start of this season was Milton Keynes Dons. Of course, there was the situation that happened when I did do this prediction video, in that Russell Martin did leave the club and went to Swansea City. Their new manager, though, I can't remember his name, but he has definitely got the best out of the players that they have got now. And MK Dons, they've definitely done well. They have definitely done well, it's safe to say. They currently sit double the position that they are in at the moment, in 5th place. Yeah, like Wycombe, I think they're going to do it, man. I think they're going to do it in 5th place, in the position that they are currently in. One of the more consistent teams this season. They've been, well, like I say, one of the better teams this season. When I went to Stadium MK, you could see that they had quality in that side. You know, Aisa, Parrott, Connor Wickham, who they've brought in recently, which is certainly an interesting signing. Scott Twine, just fantastic player at this level. I could actually put in a case of MK Dons making the final, you know. I reckon they could actually cause an upset. And another side that I have underestimated, as they currently sit inside the top 6, is Carl Robinson's Oxford United. Again, they've got a very good side at League One level. You know, James Henry's still doing it. Matty Taylor, Cameron Brannigan, if they can try and keep hold of him, due to his interest from Blackpool. They do sit just above Argyle in 6th, 2 points above them, but it's going to be very, very tight. It's going to be very, very tight, but we know what Robinson can do at this level, and I think Oxford are going to get that top 6. Once again, predicting them to finish in the position that they are currently in. I've not really changed much, to be honest with you, with these mid-season predictions. But yeah, Oxford for me, I think they are just about going to finish inside that top 6. Getting into that business end now, coming in 8th place, I predicted Pompey. It's been a very disappointing season for Portsmouth, it's safe to say. They've been very inconsistent. They were pretty shocking at the start of this season, but they have managed to claw it back a little bit, but still find themselves nowhere near where they probably expect to be. They're currently sat in 10th, which is 2 worse than what I predicted them to finish. So still fairly close, not too far off, but yeah, it's just been a disappointing season, really, for Portsmouth. They're currently winless in the last 4. It's just been a very, very inconsistent and pretty dull year for a Portsmouth fan, to be honest with you. They've still got some decent players in that team, though. Marcus Harness, Ronan Curtis, Hal Curtis is still playing in League One. I have no idea. They've just been too inconsistent this season. I think that there are better teams above them this season, and teams that do deserve to finish inside that top 6. And yeah, I think Pompey are going to miss out. And again, as you probably may have guessed with my video predictions, they are going to finish in the position that they are currently in 10th. And then just finishing outside the playoffs in 7th for a 2nd year in a row, I predicted Sunderland. Now, obviously, I did explain myself within that video. I just felt that the team that they had was no better than the squad they had last season. And to be fair to Sunderland, while it looked like that they were in a pretty disappointing position at the start of it, you know, they were sort of fading away a little bit with some fairly inconsistent performances. They look pretty good at the moment, don't they? As they do, in fact, find themselves in the automatic promotion spots. They are sat in 2nd place. Ross Stewart, had my doubts about him at the start of the season. To be fair to him, has really, really impressed this year. Elliot Embleton, how they managed to keep hold of him, I have no idea, because I thought he was well on his way to Blackpool following the season, or the loan spell he had there, sorry. Dan Neal, so they've given themselves a very good case for going up this season. Are they going to do it, though, is another question. There are obviously some very good teams that are up there at the moment with them, and it is going to be very close. I'm going to get slewed for this, but I just think they're going to miss out. I think they are just about going to miss out on that top 2, and they're going to come 3rd, in my opinion. I think they're just about going to miss out on the automatic promotion spots, and they are going to have to go through the playoffs again, which they're going to absolutely hate if they do have to go through that. So yeah, I hope for their sake anyway, they can get the top 2. And now we get on to the top 6, and starting with the playoff positions, and beginning with a stinker. In 6th place, I predicted Michael Appleton's Lincoln City, and they are currently having a pretty disastrous campaign, sat in 16th. They have been, well, a far cry from what they were last year. And to be honest with you, probably should have expected it. You know, there was absolutely no way that they were going to replace the attack they had last year. No, that middle three of George Grant, Brennan Johnson and Morgan Rogers was an absolute joy to watch last year. Absolutely superb. And unfortunately, all three of them did, of course, leave. You know, they made the playoff final last year, and now they find themselves in lower end of the table. And I think that's where they're going to end up, to be honest with you. It's been a pretty dire season for them, and I think they are going to finish one worse than what they are currently, which is in 17th. It was only a matter of time before this one come, didn't it? It was only a matter of time. And let's get this heartbreak out of the way as quick as physically possible, shall we? In 5th place, we come to my club, Charlton Athletic. At the start of this season, Charlton fans had that optimism. You know, we all thought this was going to be a fantastic season. The first proper season under Thomas Sandgaard with no restrictions. Nigel Adkins at the helm. At this point, I just want it to be over because I'm just about sick and tired of it by now. We're currently 14th. We are currently sat 9 positions away from what was predicted from me, and a far cry away from what was expected, not just from the fans, but also from our owner, as he obviously did make the claim that we're going to blow the league out of the water this season, and we find ourselves in mid-table mediocrity. And if I'm being brutally honest with you, that is where we deserve to be, and that is the best I can see us doing this season, because like I said, I just want this season to be over. I don't know how we can go from, you know, playing out of our skin under Johnny Jackson. Well, at first, being absolute shambles under Nigel Adkins. I think Adkins has got to take much of the blame for that, though. I felt he was an absolute dinosaur. Complete wrong recruitment. How do we go from playing so bad under him to then fighting for Jackson to get the job, showing that these players can do it, they have got the capability to perform, to then when he gets the job, they just look like they don't give a toss anymore. You know, I don't know how we can just go that up and down. And unfortunately, they've just proven themselves to be a lot of deadwood in this squad. And to be honest with you, we've got to look over a lot of players within this team and just say that we're not good enough. In terms of my mid-season predictions, I genuinely think the best that we're going to be able to do, and I have predicted this in terms of the best that I think that we're capable of doing, and that's 12th, which is, it's horrible to say because I really did not expect us to be in the position that we are in. Some people did obviously call it at the start of the season, and we obviously considered them to be the moaning side of the group, which they still are. But we have to say they were right on that front. But yeah, it's just been a car crash of a season from start to finish, and like I said, I just want it to be over. In 4th place, I predicted another newly relegated side, and that was, of course, Darren Moore's Sheffield Wednesday. Now, there was a lot of uncertainty when it came to Wednesday this season, obviously with the situation that they were in terms of the EFL and ownership situation with Chansiri. And this season, I felt they have done better than what some people expected of them. I know some people expected them to have an absolute disaster class of a season. Some predicted them to finish in the bottom half of the table. They haven't done that. A team that is hard to beat, as they have only lost 6 games, but they've drawn way too many. 10 draws all season. I think they are actually the team with the most draws in the league. Yes, they are. So they've drawn more games than anyone else. The draw specialists. And they currently sit in 9th, outside the playoffs, which is definitely not what I expected from them anyway. Because I did think they had some good players, you know, some very solid League One players on their books. Barry Bannon, Che Dunkley, Callum Patterson. They do sit 6 points outside the playoffs, so never say never. They could definitely do it. But I just think, like Portsmouth, it's been a very inconsistent season for them. And I think that they are going to miss out on that top 6. I've got them in 9th in the position that they are currently in. And then rounding off the playoff places, in 3rd, I predicted Wigan Athletic. Of course, the situation that they were in last season, obviously the ownership woe, finally getting in that new owner, just about staying up in League One with the team that they did have, you know, which was mainly made up of academy boys. The new owner came in, and while I did have Tanu Nima vibes of him at the start of the season, he has delivered and he has invested in that squad, and they brought in some very, very good players this season, and they deservingly so, it is safe to say, are currently top of the league. They are joint top with Sunderland with 4 games in hand. They are absolutely flying at the moment with, like I said, a very, very good squad. Will Keane, superb this season. Callum Lang, unbelievable this year. James McLean, you know, Charlie Wyke up until the unfortunate situation with him. And of course, their recent additions of Josh McGuinness and Graham Shinney. They've also recently brought in Curtis Till on a permanent, finally, after about 2 years or so of being on loan to them. But yeah, Wigan for me, I'm just going to get straight to the point. They're winning this league. I'm sorry. The Latics are winning this league. They are going to be going back up to the Championship as champions. They've just got too good of a squad for this league, man. And then we move on to the automatic promotions places. In second place, just missing out on the title, but making their immediate return to the championship as per usual with this club is, of course, newly relegated Rotherham United. The final newly relegated side of the three. It's just very typical with Rotherham, isn't it? Every single season, up, down, constantly yo-yoing between the leagues. The most yo-yo club in English football right now. And while people did say that they were going to finish outside the playoffs, in my opinion, there was absolutely no way that they were going to be anywhere else other than the top two. However, they are currently sat in third. So it is very, very close right now in the league. But yeah, Rotherham, definitely one of the more stronger opponents I've seen this season. And obviously Charlton were able to come away with a draw in that game. But yeah, Rotherham were a very strong side coming down the valley, and they've been a strong side all season. It's pretty safe to say, you know, they've got some fantastic players. One of the best midfields this league has probably ever seen. For me, it's going to be very close between them and Sunderland to get the top two. Like I said, I think Wigan are going to win this league, but as you probably would have guessed, I have gone with Rotherham to finish inside the automatic promotion spots. They're going to finish in second. And that, of course, does leave top of the table in terms of my predictions at the start of the season anyway, was, of course, the Tractor Boys, Ipswich Town. And I think a lot of people fell into this trap. Paul Cook coming in, the entire squad from last season pretty much gone. 19 players out and 19 players in. But my God, the players that they've brought in has been absolutely unbelievable. Lee Evans, Macaulay Bonne, Raheem Harper, Connor Chaplin, Bersant Salina, you know, some absolutely unbelievable names this season. Tariq Baconson, even recently from Bristol City, unbelievable talents. However, at the moment, it's been a pretty, well, up and down season for Ipswich, which is probably the standard season that they have had in League One. They currently find themselves in 8th, outside the playoffs, but it is safe to say that under their new manager, McKenna, obviously, Cook did get the boot, I think a couple of months ago now. But yeah, McKenna's come in, and their form has picked up massively. You know, 4 wins out of their last 5, obviously the other game being a defeat. They are currently sitting just 5 points outside the playoffs, so it is very much doable that Ipswich could do it. It seems that the squad that they had, you know, unbelievable amount of talent within that side. They obviously needed time to gel, which they didn't do at the start of the season, but now they seem to have done that under McKenna, and they're playing much better football at the moment. It is doable. It is very much doable that they could get the top 6. However, I think they are just about going to miss out. I've got them to finish in 7th. They'll leapfrog Plymouth, as they are in my, well, they're in better form at the moment, and I think that they will carry on that form with the sheer amount of players and the quality that they have in that side. But yeah, for me, I think they're just about going to miss out. There is my mid-season predictions and my reaction to my god-awful predictions from the start of the season. I hope you guys did enjoy it. If you did, can you possibly leave a like, subscribe if you are new around here, and turn on those post notifications so you are notified of every time I upload a new video. This has definitely been my worst performance thus far. This has been Tyler Runningston. Have a nice day, and I will see you all over the weekend for another episode of the League One Transfer Rumour Roundup. So stay tuned for that. Take it easy, stay safe, and I will see you all then.